Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Voices in My Head with Basil Sands. This is the podcast where Basil talks about audiobooks and the audiobook industry and the people who makes the audiobooks and everything like that. And we know you're going to enjoy today's show because it has the wonderful Johnny Heller coming all the way from New York City. And he's going to talk about how to Hellerify your audiobooks to the greatest possible potential. The only problem, though, is that due to a technical difficulty, we got no video of Johnny, but we were able to see him on our side, but for some reason it didn't record. And so you'll just see a non-moving picture of Johnny sitting there staring at you with his bajillion-dollar smile like he does, because he's a really nice guy. And we got along very well. So enjoy the show. And sorry, only Basil will be animated. Johnny will be frozen in time, as it were. But it's all good, you know. And so, with no further ado, here's Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Johnny Heller, all the way from New York City.
Hello,
Welcome,
all.
Johnny.
Thank you, my friend. It's nice to be here.
Great.
Well, nice to be here in my house.
And that's the nice thing. We get to peer into the lives of the narrators that we so adore. And so, you're over there in New York City, big city for acting and everything. And you've got a lot of audiobooks out there.
Close
you've
to
been at
600.
this. Wow. That's a pretty good chunk of work. You've been at this for how long have you been a narrator?
I get into audiobooks, I want to say, early 90s maybe. I can't recall. Trying to recall your first thing. And I was talking to I started recorded books, and I was talking to Claudia Howard, who runs that. And I said, "What was my first book?" She said, "I don't know." And I said, "It may have been the Gutenberg Bible." It was a long time ago. So
wow, you were there when they made the press, so you were narrating it right off the press.
I drove to town in my Model T in those days, and I went to Gutenberg's house. So, "What are you doing, Gut?" And he said, "The Bible. Do you want to look at it?" I said, No one wants to do that.
That's perfect. So, what got you into audiobook narrating?
Well, I'd always been. I grew up in Chicago, and I studied acting, and I'd been I started on stage. My first union deal was Equity. So Equity is my parent union, the Stage Actors Union. Then I studied. The guy who taught me that my master's acting, my acting guru, was a fellow named Ted Liss. And he's one of those old dinosaurs of the acting world that's really heavy in the Stanislavski technique, which is what I studied. And I was in Shakespeare. I was a Shakespearean actor, but I sound like this. And so we had agents come in, and they liked the quirky sound of my voice. So I started doing commercials.
Oh, okay.
And the first commercial I ever did was for Campbell's Soup, and I did this. I went, That was me.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was a big job. Yeah, a lot of people couldn't do that, I guess. So I got the job, and from then I came to New York, continued my commercial career. By then I was a big Mr. Voiceover man, and then Richard Ferrone. I don't know if you know that name. Excellent narrator.
Yeah.
He said, "Listen, Claudia Howard needs a younger voice to do kid stuff." So really, they wanted an adult who's fairly immature and sophomoric, and I fit the bill rather cleanly. So I started doing kids books, which is kind of more difficult than adult books, I think. And then I graduated from that into a whole lot of adult. Now I probably do 70 to 80% adult and 20% children. But I started as a children's audiobook narrator, mostly children's books. And then as I got more and more stuff, now I mostly do a lot of history and noir and comedy and things like that.
Right. Pretty good mix that you get on a regular basis.
I would say, yeah, the only genre I've never done is the romance / erotica. I think because no one wants to hear me talk dirty. I know, and also I giggle. I have done some books with a lot of. I was a gay guy in a couple of books. And there was sexual stuff, but it's not. I get to do books I would read anyway for the most part, which is really nice.
Right. That's the fun part. Getting paid for your pleasure.
Getting paid, yes. Well, this has become. I still do a lot of commercials, but I mostly do audiobooks. It's become my real my niche, if you will.
Do you still do stage acting?
I haven't. However, I'm working on trying to find an agent and trying to get it back on stage. It's been a long time. In New York or in any other big city, if you do stage, unless you're doing Broadway or something big off Broadway, you almost can't afford to do it. In a business like ours, in the audiobook industry, where it's no residuals, you're only as good or as financially viable as your last paycheck. So, but I've made enough paychecks that I have a savings now. I could probably go back to stage. So I'm looking to find some. I'm working on some monologues now. But, you know, it's been so many years that I've been off stage, and now I've got to get someone to take me seriously. Because I would think the audio world is absolutely organic acting. So I'm ready to jump back on stage. I haven't done stand-up in years either. I want to go back to some of that too.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I started out as stand-up as well.
Yeah, I traveled around 3 years. I made a living doing that. That was a great time.
Yeah, well, I was right at the point where I could make a living, and then I wasn't, so I gave up and joined the Marines, and then I got offered a spot in Seattle at the Improv right after that, about a week before I was supposed to go to boot camp. So there was that.
Oh, wow.
The Marines knocked all the humor out of me for about 4 years, and that was it. But yeah, a lot of fun doing this stuff. So how would you compare stage acting to narration?
All right, let's look at it's easier to look at the similarities. Because people still, one thing that always bothers me, and I think it should bother every audiobook narrator, is say, well, are you still acting? I don't know of a more organic acting experience than audiobooks. You have a script, then you have an audience. Audience unseen, and then you have an actor. In stage acting, I do what they call a roadmap. That's a Stanislavski term where you write out everything you can about your character. You create a whole life before the scene. Or whatever that, because no one walks into a room from nowhere. They've been somewhere. No one is made of just so we find out everything. We do the same in audiobooks, but not quite as deep a roadmap, because in let's say a fiction audiobook, you're playing everybody,
right?
Every single human. So you've got to be in touch with every human and make every human very real. You must see that whoever you are, you must see, and you must see who you're talking to. It's a completely organic experience. The difference is there's no proscenium arch. You cannot act by body motions alone. You can't, give the look, the nod.
Right.
You can do those things, but the listener doesn't know about it.
Right.
You don't have the immediacy of the audience's reaction. Also, on a Wednesday night, you go up on your lines and you cover, but you screwed up. Well, Wednesday night, you can fix that in audiobooks. So there's that. Once you've cocked it up on stage, you can't fix it till the next time you have a shot at it.
Right.
In the audiobook world, you can fix it right away because it's all digital wavy lines in the ether.
Right. That's one of my favorite things with audiobooks is I don't have to memorize a script.
Oh, yeah, and people don't fix what's wrong. Like if I talk to you right now, I go, Major, and I'll talk through my yawn. Right. Well, in real life, I can do that, but in an audiobook, what? That's crazy talk. Fix that.
Right.
If you farted in the booth, that's going to be there. You're going to have to go back and fix that. Funny though it may be,
oh, yeah.
and it is. You got to go back and fix that. You may be farting right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm filtering it out through the seat,
good work.
through the chair. Now, actually, my first audiobook, one of those got through, and it had actually sold 10,000 copies. It was a podcast audiobook.
It was the best of times, the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And someone texted me after like 10,000 downloads. And I was like, oh, thanks for waiting this long to tell me, people. But
yeah, it's good stuff.
But it was fun, a life lesson. So now, what does a person need these days to get into audiobooks? Because I know it's a lot different back when you started. How are you guiding newbies?
It is a lot different. Here, there's a few things to bring up, I guess, on this. Because of the huge influx of home studios, you have a lot of people who have great equipment. You don't necessarily have a lot of people who are great actors. Buying the $5,000 microphone and all the gear, and I will tell you, I think from my Facebook posts, I'm the least technical guy in the world. If it's more than plugging it in and turning it on, I am not your guy. But so many people become adept at the mixing and the mastering and the editing and buying this thing and buying that thing, and they know what a DAW is and things. That's not acting.
Right.
And I think people want to get into now. You know what you need to do first is learn to act.
Right. Right.
At heart, what you're doing as an audiobook narrator is, as an actor at all, is sharing the author's truth with the listener or the audience. That's acting.
Right.
Acting is simply make-believe, and not make-believe to no point. It's make-believe to share the author's truth, certainly in our case, in the audiobook narrators.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, you need to have some understanding of character. I think act classes, improvisational classes, anything you do that gets you into looking at scenes, scene study, and working with other human beings and playing other characters is super important because it opens your heart, your mind, and your soul, and it makes you a better human being, I think, and certainly makes you a better actor.
Right.
So I would suggest anybody who wants to get into this, start by acting. Also, listen to people. You would be amazed how many people never listen to an audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
How many people think that they should, I've been told to have a great voice. And, well, you know, when you're going to share it with me? That's not enough. Being able to read English and speak out loud is not enough.
Right.
You need to understand this is seen. You're a storyteller. Can you be a storyteller? Later on, let's worry about, if you need to, about how to edit and master and all that other crap. But the first job is an actor. And I personally think it should be the only job. Mm-hmm. There are wonderful editors out there and I think you should let them do their art.
Right.
I mean, some actors can sing and dance and some just can act. Do what you can do and do it to the best of your ability and get better at it. Keep working.
Right.
So that's my big piece of advice is first, let's see if you can act. And then this job alone takes a great deal of stamina.
Mm-hmm.
A play, that you had another difference of play is a performance of a show is an hour and a half, 2 hours generally.
Mm-hmm.
An audiobook is, can be 7 or 8 hours a day of work.
Right. It's like a marathon. I mean,
it is. It absolutely is, and not everybody. And there's nothing wrong if you can't do it. Then do something else. There's a million genres in the voiceover industry.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of them, and let's be honest, this doesn't pay the best either.
Right.
When you think about it, it sounds easy. And that's one of the reasons people want to do it. It just sounds easy.
Right. Yeah.
I tell you, go ahead.
I say, yeah, you're just reading a book.
Yeah.
About that. So.
Yeah, I'm a neurosurgeon. Well, I got an X-Acto knife at home, and I know where your head is. I can probably do that. Well, no, you can't. No. It's just there's more to it, I think, and I think people have to understand that. But if you have the talent and the desire and the drive, nothing is in the way of success in this industry.
Right. Now you do coaching as well, right?
I do.
And I'm assuming that's the kind of thing that you coach people in, right there.
That was a lesson just now.
Yeah, there you go. We got a freebie, guys.
I've been coaching for, well over 10, 15 years, I guess. And it started because people asked me to do things. Mm-hmm. And now it's become something of a business for me. And I take it seriously. Because I've been doing this a long time. And I know what I'm doing, and you don't have to. I mean, there's some great Scott Brick's good, and Paul Rubin. I don't want to name everybody because I'll miss people. There's some great coaches, and we all have different styles, but we all have at our heart the basic truth that this isn't this. You have to share the author's truth. That's it. How do you find it? How do you get it? How do you share it? Paul Rubin will talk about what's actable and what isn't actable. I don't use those words, but I say the same things.
Right.
But basically, I think coaching can be really helpful. Just to tighten up some things. Some people, the biggest thing people do right off the top is they go too fast.
Yeah.
We all talk too fast because we're afraid someone's going to interrupt with their opinion, and we'd rather not hear it. So if we slow it down, and also let's remember you get paid by the finished hour.
Right. Add another 15 minutes on there,
Yeah, but you do a 10-hour book in 8 hours. I mean, that's not helpful.
No, exactly. Do you think, how important is continuing training, even for experienced narrators? I mean, you've pointed out that, hey, before you get into this, you need the training, you need to know how to act. Yeah. How about for folks, that have been at it for a while, a few years, maybe have 50, 60, 100 titles under their belt? Continuing education.
I think they need to be. I think in the world of the actor, you must continually work on your craft. there's no end. Like I'm still working. I'm working on some monologues. I'm working with some people who are monologue coaches because I need that. Now, here's a couple things. Now, I don't take an acting class right now, and the reason is I'm working frequently, and that it's a time commitment for me.
Right.
I'm teaching and I'm working, but I am doing some coaching. I'm getting some coaching on my monologue work. A friend of mine is going to help me with some singing because I can carry a tune, but you don't want to buy my album right now. But I need to. I want to see if I can also sing a song at an audition. I get embarrassed, so I'm working on that. So I think what you need when you're at a certain level, whether you've done 50 books or 500 books, what is it you need? What's the area? I need work on monologues. I haven't auditioned with a monologue in a while. The work I get in that can't help me in my acting in general.
Right.
Anything, whether it's learning the Alexander technique and movement, whether it's anything you do that helps you in any way, helps you as an actor in every way. So I would say always be learning, always. There's never, I learn things all the time. I was at the VO Atlanta recently. VO Atlanta, wonderful, and Pat Fraley, who's a great guy, was there. And he and I spent a lot of time together. And he taught me, just in conversation, he taught me 3 or 4 things that I took notes on later that I hadn't thought about, that have helped me in my commercial work. And I know he took some notes in my discussion of audiobooks. I mean, just because you're at a certain level doesn't mean there's not more to learn.
Right.
Yeah,
And there comes that time when you've got so much stuff that you get so much experience that you begin to forget what you've learned in the past.
Yeah.
That little pressure. Yeah.
Well, so there are certain rules I have. You must do this. You must do this. And I'm saying, well, why isn't this working? I didn't do rule 3. What the hell's wrong with me?
Right.
So you can get a little. You can never take this for granted.
Right.
There's a danger of falling in love with your own technique and your own sound. Like, it's not me someone wants to hear. It's the story the author wrote.
Right. They want to hear it, and your voice can be tolerable as long as the acting.
The best thing is halfway, or once they get involved, they don't care who's reading it because it's so true.
Right.
They're hearing this. It should be the same experience when they sit in the lap and read the book. That's what you want.
Right. A voice in their head.
Yes. As opposed to the other voices in their head.
Yeah. Gotta compete for that ground. So what's the scene like there in New York for narration? I know, a lot of people think, well, you gotta move around, you gotta be in either LA or New York to get a lot of these jobs. And of course, with the home studio thing happening, it's changed that paradigm a bit, but what's it like doing it there?
Again, my entrance into it was different. I was almost invited in. The door was open for me. I didn't have to, barrel my way in. The advantage to New York or LA or Chicago, the big cities, is that publishers are frequently there or near there. I mean, here in New York is the publishing capital of the world.
Right.
So the big houses are here. So let's say I get hired by Harper or Penguin Random House. Well, the difference is they say, Johnny, I've got a book. We need you to do it at my studio. So at our studio. So you go to Random House on 57th there, or you go down to Penguin Studios down in Barrack Street. In other words, they're right there. You go to their studios. You can't, like you, Basil. If Random House wants you in their studio, you have to fly to New York.
Right.
So you're not going to do that. So the difference is, but if you have a home studio, and Random House wants you, then they'll once they approve the sound of your studio, then you can work for them anywhere.
Right.
The difference in being in New York is the immediacy of the publishers, their houses. You get to meet them much easier because they're all here.
Mm-hmm.
A New York, an APA mixer in New York will be populated with producers who are in New York, and same in LA, while the mixer in Anchorage won't have any of them.
Yeah, it'll have me and the one lady that lives 200 miles away. We're the only two
That's
here.
right. That's it. But a home studio the difference is Recorded Books, for example, doesn't like to use home studios. They want you in a studio. They want a director with you.
Right.
And I think that's very valuable when I started out. The lack of a director, the lack of producers and publishers paying for actors to have a director is harmful to the industry. especially for new people. A director, I would advise you, if you can afford it, if there's enough money in the project, hire a director, at least on your first couple projects.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Especially now, you're wearing too many hats. You're the actor, you're the director, and you're the technician. And for God's sakes, you're maybe brand new to the business. That's so much to ask of someone. And I think no one is paid enough to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and you're getting the same paycheck as just being the actor.
When I started the home studio, I got paid, and I'll tell you right now, an extra $50 to $75 an hour to use my studio. No one does that anymore. It's just suddenly it's just gone. It wasn't a union deal. Let's say I get paid $250 an hour, for example, for the acting, a finished hour. Well, then there's another $75 because it was my studio. That's gone. You say, we're not doing that anymore. The numbers. Can you hear the siren? Want to hold off 1 second?
Yeah, it's okay. It gives ambience.
Okay, this is something.
I just had my garage door open and shut on me, and my wife calling my name. So
well, I can't even hear you. Hold on, this is really loud. It must be on my street. That's another thing about Manhattan that you sometimes have to stop. It's a noisy ass city.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Really,
I don't know if I could live there. I lived outside of D.C. for 5 years back in the 80s, and
I plan on coming here and studying for a while and leaving, and I've been here for 25 years. I still call Chicago home, but I'm not moving back there. So
yeah. Yep, I hear you. All right. Well, now I've got an hypothetical question that my roommates wanted to ask you. So I'll bring them on real quick, and we'll see. Hey guys, you down there? Come on up. Yeah. You wrote the question. Okay, Mr. Basil. We'll come on up. Just wait a second. Put that bottle away. You can't drink at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, here we go. Hello, Mr. Heller. And by the way, we just finished listening to that. My name is Fillii, by the way. I'm the oldest of the 4 brothers. And we just finished listening to those grim tales that you did a while back. And let me tell you, I really liked that outcome of that. The witch getting eaten and everything was excellent job. You really brought it home. It was pretty true to what I remember it being.
Thank you, Fillii.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, my brother Buffin wants to ask the first question here. Okay, Buffin. Yes. Ask your question. Okay, here we go. Hello, Mr. Heller. Nice job on the Grimm books, too, by the way. They made me hungry, though, with the candy house.
Sure.
So now this is the point when we do these interviews that we like to ask a question that's a hypothetical question, which is a question that is hypothetical. And but it can tell us something about what's in your heart and your soul. So, in this question, you're walking down a country lane in the spring, quietly considering your next audiobook, when suddenly there appears before you a being shimmering in light with a long white robe, pointy ears, and a big fancy-dancy walking stick with a shiny thing on top. Beside him is a very handsome leprechaun-looking bloke who stares disconcertingly at you for a moment, then smiles in a way that at once makes you feel good and makes you put your hand upon your wallet. The little man says, "This is Mr. Gorbwald, the mighty wizard outside of space and time, and he wants to grant you 3 wishes. Anything of your choice as long as they fit into these categories. 1, a thing you would wear. 2, a thing you would eat. 3, a place you would go. 4, a book or series of books you'd read while waiting for the other 3 to be fulfilled." Hey, that was 4 questions, numbnuts. You shouldn't say that on TV. Oh, sorry. That was 4 questions, dummy. Oh, okay. So 4 wishes then from Mr. Gorbwald, the mighty wizard outside of space and time is what you get. Go for it.
All right. 1 is something I would wear.
Yes. In public. Or not.
Iron Man's suit.
Ooh.
Because then I could fly, I could do all kinds of things. I could be Iron Man, for God's sakes.
He is Iron Man.
Yeah. So that'd be that. I'd do that. Number 2, something I'd eat.
Yes.
See, that has a feeling of a last meal kind of feel to it. When you think about it, because anything I want to eat, I pretty much eat. So here'd be I'd give my favorite. Okay, a nice big juicy ribeye steak
Ooh.
with mushrooms and onions and spinach
Ooh.
and a nice bottle of red wine to go along. That'd be nice.
That'd be very nice.
It
Matter
sounds
of fact,
good right now, as a matter of fact.
yes, you're making my stomach gurgly.
I gave up meat for Lent, so tomorrow I tuck right back in.
Excellent. Number 3,
Oh,
a
well,
place
yeah.
you would go.
Place I would go. This will sound all romantic, but I would go wherever Joanna was.
Oh, that's so
Joanna Perrin.
sweet.
Yeah, I'd go where she is. So hopefully she'd be on some Hawaiian island, but I'd go where she was. So wherever that is.
She would make the sun shine around you wherever you go.
She does indeed.
Excellent.
Hopefully, maybe she'd be in the TARDIS or something, and then I could go. I could couple these wishes together. There.
Ooh, that's always nice.
Yeah.
That's
So wherever
always...
she is where I want to be.
Excellent. And finally, 4, a book or series of books you'd read while waiting for the other 3 things to be fulfilled.
That's tough because I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so that's got to be possible. Let me think.
I love those because they're full of short people.
I love the Tim Dorsey's Surge Storm series. That's great. I like the Lee Childs Jack Reacher series. Really like. Oh, I know. The Sherlock Holmes canon, Arthur Conan Doyle. That'd be my choice. Sherlock Holmes.
Now, what if you could do a mashup of all of those? Have Jack Reacher going into Mordor, and Sherlock Holmes,
and he and Sherlock finds the ring.
Yes. Watson
okay,
turns into the my precious guy.
If I have enough time waiting for these wishes to come through, I'll just write that, I guess.
That's a good way. That's a good way to do it. Well, that answers a lot of questions about your personality right there, and really appreciate. And we'll psychoanalyze this now, and we'll put that out, and the results will be in shortly.
Well, it's happy to marry to you.
So, and you too, sir. Okay. Now go. We're gonna go. So we'll see you later, and have a good one. Okay. Well, that was the guys that live in my basement. 2 of the 4. Actually, but the other 2 were busy doing something, and I'm kind of afraid to ask what they were doing. So, but wow, thanks.
Well, you're more than welcome. I hope you got what you wanted out of this.
I think this is very informative, and you'll open eyes to everyone who listens. And I'm looking forward to meeting you down there at APAC at the end of May.
We'll see you in May. I'm looking forward to hearing your reading too.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Great.
We'll cut it up a little bit with me and Peter. So
yes, well, nice to meet you over the Skype, and I'll see you in about a month.
Sounds good.
All right, my friend.
Thanks.
Well, that was a very informative show, for sure. I'm glad that you all enjoyed it. Be sure to join us next. Hey, Fillii, guess what? What? Why are you interrupting me in the closing credits of the show? Did you know that the new guy, Gerald, he makes even better lager than you do? That's not possible, because I make the best lager in the world of history, in the history of the world. Well, both of them. Oh, but you gotta try this lager. He makes it really, really good. Something about how to mix the right ingredients and stir it all up a certain way, and then he stares at it with this stare. Okay, well, you're gonna have to bring me a glass of it to find out if I agree with you on that. Go get me one and I'll tell you. Okay, here you go. I brought one with me. Okay, let me try this here. Oh, that's good stuff. Gerald, what's the recipe for this?
Well, first you get to get the right ingredients, like the proper hops and the grains and the barley, which must be malted a certain way and roasted, and then you grind it all up and you make your wort.
I know the general way to make lager and beers and so on, but what's the secret ingredient to this one?
Well, basically, I blow my nose in it about halfway through the process. Something about troll snot seems to make this lager turn out really very well.
Troll snot. I just drank a glass of troll snot. And it actually tasted quite nice. Well, okay, we'll just imagine that we never heard what the ingredients were. How much you got?
7 barrels.
Very nice. You're my friend now. Just don't ever tell me that recipe again. Good night, peoples. This is Voices in My Head with Basil Sands, signing off for right now. Join us next time for a nice little chat with, of all people, Simon Vance. Voices in My Head, copyright 2015, Sandman Studio Productions of Alaska, Basil Sands, and a bunch of us, and Troll Snot.